so my mind's at peace. The world out of order, missing energy, life gets colder. Oh yes, I have to find my path. No less walk on earth, water and fire. The elements compose a matter. Opens my motives of piranhas and alga. Steel packed tight in my crew. Chip on my armor, a sign of all pro. The ultimate reward is dining on a war that odds with the times and wars with no lords. A freelancer, the battle cry of a heart, make a dove fly and a tear dry. Wonder why no move, don't roll with the clay. Only trust instincts and behold the plan. Some days, some nights, some live, some die, and the way of the samurai. Some fight, some bleed, some up, some down, the sons of a battle. Some days, some nights, some live, some die, in the name of the samurai. Some fight, some bleed, some up, some down, the sons of a battle.
And they're controlling both sides. So they got us like puppets, and they got us fighting each other. So we dark forces, and they use them to turn people against each other. Kind of like what you see right now, just going on our planet. We've got all the people fighting against each other, with a very small amount of people controlling everything from behind the scenes. And they're controlling both sides. So they got us like puppets, and they got us fighting each other. So we can't find out that we're supposed to be really fighting them. And so that's what it's talking about.
Were these human beings, Billy, or what were they?
These were beings like him. Atlanteans are these beings that have the capability of living for many eons, and they plant themselves in different civilizations, and they literally thrive off of causing turmoil, angst, anxiety, starvation, poverty, murder, and everything else. Why they do this, it doesn't really specifically say. But this is the reason for the cycle of the yugas, where civilizations rise and fall. Like right now, we're in something called the Tetra Yuga, and which is like the Silver Age, and we're headed back towards the Golden Age again.
Is that a good or bad thing?
That's a great thing, because that's where lifespans are extended. That's where technology is really super advanced. That's where we become an intergalactic civilization. And these yuga cycles last for hundreds of thousands of years. The bad thing about it is, for whatever reason, it then goes down again. We go back into like a Bronze Age, where these dark brothers or these dark forces start to take over mankind again, and we start to sink and go back consciously into a low level. Wars start up, greed starts up, power struggle starts up again, and the next thing you know, we fall into a low level of civilization. And this cycle has happened at least 4 times just on this planet. So we're talking about 4 or 5 million years of rising and falling. And according to the Mayans, we're heading into the 5th age again. So now we're heading back into another golden age. And the biggest thing that I want to learn from these tablets, the reason why I wrote this book, is because I don't think there's nowhere written that says we have to stay in this cycle. There's nowhere written that says we have to rise and fall. When can we break this time loop? Can we break it? Can we finally, for once, stay at a higher level and maintain that level?
That would be nice.
That would be fantastic.
What is the ancient Smith effect? What is that?
Well, this is one of the things that has to do with the Dark Brothers and how they subconsciously get into your psyche. So they control the media, they control the news, they control what you eat, what you think, what you see, and everything else.
Are they the deep state that we hear so much about?
The deep state, they're the deep state. They're all these hidden figures behind the scenes pulling all the strings that nobody ever can really see who they are, but they're there. There's 100 families running this entire planet, but there's still a handful of them that are at the top of that mini pyramid that are really making all the final decisions. And so that's really what it's all about. So the Agent Smith effect is when, like, if you're talking to somebody, like a friend or a family member, about what you saw on TV, and it's like a sitcom or a TV show, everybody's having a great conversation about it. But as soon as you stop and talk about, is 9/11 a conspiracy, or what they're putting in our food is poison, all of a sudden that person will then change. Their countenance will change.
Sure.
Their attitude will change, and they'll almost become like a prison guard to stop you from talking about those topics and try to skew you back into what the more comfortable topics were, which was gossiping and so forth and so on. So it's like this thing jumps into them. It's like this matrix programming takes over their body, and that's part of the dark forces that happen. And it's called the Agent Smith effect, kind of after the Matrix movies, where Agent Smith would pop into the bodies of other people to fight against Neo.
You've got to have a PhD in ancient technology. My God, how do you know all this stuff?
I've been researching this for so many years now, since 1977 until this current day, researching aerospace and technology and combining with the knowledge of ancient wisdom and ancient text and trying to put the two together, trying to look for a unified physics, kind of like Nassim Haramein. I study a lot of his work and seeing how the quantum mechanics and quantum physics really does interact with spirituality. You can't have one without the other. If you try to only go the spiritual way and not incorporate the science behind it, you don't really get the big picture, and vice versa. So I really tried to put, pieces of the puzzles together and try to paint a picture not only for myself but for everybody else.
Billy, what are cymatic frequencies?
Well, these are the hidden frequencies behind the ether of space-time that literally jingle matter into existence. And so I even talk about in the book that Thoth is talking about using cymatics and lights and photonic light to create matter. So he would actually literally utilize photons and cymatic frequencies, which are jiggling strings in the ether of space-time. It's called string theory. But he had the ability to access that, and utilizing vocalizations and cymatic frequencies, combining the two together to create solid bricks and matter and everything else. So some of these structures weren't built by, going and quarrying bricks and blocks. Some of these structures were literally manifested.